Thank you for listening to the Ramble On Podcast Network. The following podcast was produced by members of the Highland Rambler from Highland High School in Salt Lake City, Utah.
Spirit Week, and keeping the spirits high and morale high with the student body during a very weird year. So what are the pros and cons to things like Spirit Week?
One pro that I found of Spirit Week, especially in a time like COVID, is that it's unifying for everyone, especially since we've been online for more than a quarter of the year, more than 3/4 of the year so far. It's been mostly online. So it's been really riveting, I feel like, for everyone to be able to come together for one moment in time.
Yeah, and I think that's... Oh, go ahead.
Sorry, you go.
I was just going to say that I think that that's, in general, a pro too, right? To Spirit Week, because it does give sort of like a unity sense, I guess. It's sort of like, football games and stuff like that. Like it lets the student body sort of unite, right?
Yeah, it's like, even if you don't like football games, it's really fun to go.
Yeah.
Because everyone's there, it's just like a full experience. But I also think it's like kind of unsafe, especially this year, because they kind of did it weirdly, and it was still a little bit sketchy with everyone who had vaccinations or didn't. And so I don't think it was super safe. And I get like it was supposed to help everyone, but I feel like it could have done some serious damage.
No, and especially during COVID. And I think because like young people aren't really getting vaccinated, right?
Under 16, no one can.
Not just under 16. So I've been doing some research on that for another article I'm doing, right? And so there's been a lot of polls coming out, and it's like 50% of kids from like 16 to 20, I think it was, don't want to get the vaccine. Like they either think that they don't need it, or like they want to wait until there's more information, or just a bunch of stuff like that. So like, and I kind of saw that while I was searching for like someone to interview, because I thought that there'd be a lot more people who got like at least one shot at Highland, but the population of vaccinated teens is actually pretty low. So I think that Spirit Week was definitely a choice to have everyone come there. It was definitely a choice.
I get that of like being nervous about it, but the only sketchy one now is Johnson & Johnson. And all the other ones are really well researched at this point. And it's a lot of tests and everything. So I get like not wanting to get something like that, but like the Pfizer and the Moderna, they're really safe. And they don't have as bad of side effects as the Johnson & Johnson one does.
Yeah, and one thing else.
Oh, go ahead, Eliott.
One thing I'll say about Johnson & Johnson is even still, they canceled it because they put it on pause because of blood clots. And your chances of getting a blood clot from it or having issues from the vaccine is still 0.00088%. 4 zeros, 2 eights. Decimal point. It's chance of getting that. And 4 out of the 6 people who did experience blood clots were medically considered to be obese.
Oh,
yeah. I mean, I think that the problem that we're having a lot with like going back to school activities is that like I guess it's better for mental health theoretically. For argument's sake, we'll say that it's better for mental health. But like I think that people are just, especially teenagers, are both getting relaxed and both like overestimating how many people are vaccinated.
Yeah.
because like even I was talking to a friend the other day and he said that he didn't want to get the vaccine because of the side effects, and he was worried about the side effects in younger people, but he said that he was going to be okay because a majority of others were vaccinated, and I was like, that's really not true. Like
That's not how vaccinations even work.
I honestly think that it's really, I'm going to tread lightly here, but there's no other good way to put it. I think that it's kind of selfish when people who are able to get the vaccine and they don't have any other medical speculations or underlying conditions that could worry them about a vaccine say that, oh, I don't need to get it because all these other people are getting it. It has to be
yeah.
a unity effort and heard.
And I think that, oh, go ahead, Rachel.
Sorry, thank you. And the side effects aren't actually that bad.
Mm-hmm.
Cause
yeah, and I think,
I mean,
sorry.
I got the Pfizer. You're just sorry. I got the Pfizer, and I felt really tired the first day. My arm hurt really bad the next day, hurt less the next, and then I was fine. And I mean, like with the Johnson and Johnson, my sister got it, and she got really sick for a bit. She had like a really high fever, and it was a little sketchy, but it was all right in the end. Yeah.
One
Yeah,
thing I'll
I
say
think-
though, oh, we can't, sorry. One
Go-
thing I'll
no,
say though,
seriously, go ahead.
real fast. Sorry, it's so hard when like we're not in person and we don't have our
Mhm.
cameras on, so you can't really tell. So it's just bad luck timing where we're running into each other here.
Yeah.
But one thing I'll say is nobody's died from a vaccine. Nobody has
Mhm.
actually medically had a cause of death because they got the COVID-19 vaccine. That's
Yeah.
just not how that works. And you're not injecting COVID into yourself, as we know. You're injecting the
Yeah.
antibodies to fight it.
Mhm.
And
And I
people
think-
aren't understanding that.
And I think that like that's where I face a big problem in doing these like school activities like dances and whatnot during COVID. It's like, first of all, a majority of people are not vaccinated. We're not like mostly safe. And I would argue that, so I mean, I guess it's only really freshmen who wouldn't be able to get vaccinated, but then there's also a lot of sophomores who can't. So like that's already like a thing, but whatever. Like I doubt the majority of our school is vaccinated.
We could call
But-
it by next year, we could call it that if Pfizer doesn't get approved for our age range, we could call it that half of the school would be vaccinated, but that still puts another half of our school at risk. Which,
Yeah. And
again,
like I really, and I think that this is a choice that a lot of people have had to make, but it's like, I think that I would prefer to not have school spirit than to catch COVID. Like,
Yeah.
that's where I'm at. Like, I would prefer having our spirit, our sense of like unity as a school be less
yeah,
intense, if that means
It's-
that like
Also,
I don't.
the
catch
thing
COVID.
is, though, is like if you do get COVID and you're younger, it shows like completely different signs and symptoms than in adults. And it's like they
Mhm.
come in and they're in shock, and then they end up having like blood issues. So if you can get a vaccine and not have to have a breathing tube down your throat, why not?
Yeah, I
That's
mean,
my opinion.
it's, I don't know. I think that even with things like prom, and I'm planning on sort of, depending on how they do it, but I'm planning on going to the prom theoretically. Theoretically, right?
Yeah, hopefully
But-
it'll work out. We'll see.
But even with things like that, like, and I can understand why seniors especially would want to go. I get that. But I do think that especially during COVID times, there needs to be a lower like expectancy for what we're going to be able to do and for what we should try to do. Like, and that's something that has in general been a problem with schools like everywhere in the country. But I feel like I say our, but I mean the school, some of the student body's expectations are way too high. Like we're in the middle of a pandemic. we're not going to be able to have a normal prom. Like, and even if we did decide to have a semi-normal prom that's completely unsafe, like it still wouldn't actually be normal. Like, so I think that that's just such a big problem with like how we go about bringing back school spirit, how we go about like bringing back school activities, is that we're really just sort of forgetting that there isn't a normal way to bring it back, and then our expectations are just set way too high, you know?
Yep.
Yeah.
I would say that our
Um,
hopes are higher, but our
I-
COVID numbers are high, or our hopes are high, but our COVID numbers are even higher, which
Oh
is
yeah.
the problem, because then we're hitting this cap of, oh, we can't do this. Oh, we can't do this. Oh, we have to go back to this. We're not allowed to do this. And it's becoming, people are getting tired